Welcome, brave souls, to Stunna Haunted Stories, a realm where chilling whispers and spine-tingling tales come to life. I am your guide through the shadows, your storyteller in the darkness, ready to unveil the most bone-chilling, real-life horror experiences that will send shivers down your spine. Get ready to be spellbound by the macabre, the uncanny, and the bewildering. Welcome to Stunna Haunted Stories, where reality meets the realm of the paranormal, and the only certainty is the thrill that awaits. Subscribe now and embark on a journey you won't soon forget. It was a cold, moonless night in the heart of the city. A dense fog clung to the streets, shrouding everything in an eerie mist. John, a weary traveler, had just touched down at the airport after a long flight. Exhausted and eager to reach his destination, he summoned an Uber to take him to his hotel. As John's Uber pulled up to the curb, he was greeted by the sight of a sleek, black car with tinted windows. The driver's face remained hidden in the shadows, obscured by a wide-brimmed hat pulled low. John hesitated for a moment, but the allure of a warm, comfortable ride was too tempting to resist. "Where to, sir?" came a voice from within the car. It was deep and slightly distorted, sending a shiver down John's spine. He quickly gave the address of his hotel, trying to shake off the uneasy feeling that had settled in his gut. The car began to move, gliding through the misty streets with an almost supernatural grace. John stared out the window, the city's dimly lit landmarks passing by in a blur. As they ventured deeper into the labyrinthine streets, the fog seemed to grow thicker, obscuring John's sense of direction. Minutes turned into hours, and the unsettling silence inside the car was broken only by the occasional creaking of leather seats. John's heart raced as he realized that they were far from the route to his hotel. He leaned forward, his voice trembling, and asked, "Where are we going?" "This isn't the way to my hotel." The driver remained silent, his gloved hands gripping the steering wheel tightly. John's anxiety escalated, his mind conjuring the worst possibilities. He fumbled for his phone, desperate to call for help, but found that his battery was inexplicably drained. Panic set in as John pounded on the window, demanding that the driver stop the car. Ignoring his pleas, the car continued its relentless journey through the fog-shrouded streets. Desperation turned to terror as John realized that the driver's face, hidden beneath the hat's brim, seemed to be shifting and distorting, as if it were a mere illusion. With a sudden jolt, the car came to a halt in front of an abandoned building, its windows shattered and walls crumbling. The driver turned to John, his face now a grotesque mask of swirling shadows. "Welcome to your final destination," the distorted voice hissed. John's heart raced as he scrambled to unbuckle his seatbelt. He flung open the door and bolted from the car, the fog wrapping around him like an icy embrace. He stumbled through the debris-strewn alleyways, the distant wails of the wind seeming to carry an otherworldly lament. Behind him, the car's engine roared to life, its headlights piercing the fog like predatory eyes. The car began to pursue him, its tires screeching on the wet pavement. John's breath came in ragged gasps as he sprinted through the twisting alleyways, desperately seeking refuge. As he rounded a corner, he stumbled upon a dilapidated church, its ancient doors creaking open invitingly. He dashed inside, slamming the doors shut behind him, his heart pounding in his chest. The church's interior was dimly lit by flickering candles, casting dancing shadows on the weathered pews. The echo of the pursuing car's engine grew fainter, and John collapsed to his knees, his body trembling with a mixture of exhaustion and relief. But his respite was short-lived. From the shadows emerged a haunting figure, dressed in tattered rags and bearing a striking resemblance to the driver. The figure extended a hand, its fingers elongated and skeletal. "You cannot escape the ride, traveler," it whispered, its voice a chilling echo that seemed to reverberate through John's very soul. In a final, desperate act, John bolted toward the church's altar, clutching a crucifix that hung there. The figure recoiled, its form wailing and twisting in anguish. With a blinding flash of light, the entity dissipated, leaving behind only an unsettling chill. Days later, authorities discovered John, battered and delirious, wandering the fog-shrouded streets. His account of the harrowing encounter was met with skepticism, dismissed as the product of exhaustion and fear. But John knew the truth. He had faced a malevolent force that lurked within the shadows of an Uber ride, a force that sought to ensnare unsuspecting travelers and trap them in an endless nightmare. And so, dear readers, let this tale serve as a chilling reminder that not all rides are what they seem, and that sometimes, the ordinary can give rise to the extraordinary horrors that lie just beyond our perception. In the heart of a bustling city, where the neon lights cast an otherworldly glow on the rain-soaked streets, lived a young woman named Rachel. She led a solitary life, her days consumed by work and her nights spent alone in her apartment. Her only connection to the outside world was through DoorDash, the food delivery app that brought sustenance to her doorstep. One stormy night, as rain lashed against the windows and thunder rumbled in the distance, Rachel's hunger grew insatiable. She opened the DoorDash app, scrolling through the options until her stomach rumbled in approval. She placed an order for her favorite meal from a local restaurant and settled into her dimly lit apartment, waiting for her delivery to arrive. Time passed, and as the minutes turned into hours, Rachel's patience waned. She checked her phone repeatedly, watching the app's tracker as the delivery driver's car moved closer to her location. Finally, a notification chimed, signaling that her meal had been delivered. She leapt up from her couch, her stomach grumbling with anticipation. Rachel swung open her apartment door, expecting to see the familiar DoorDash driver standing there with her meal. But the corridor outside was empty, save for the flickering fluorescent lights that cast eerie shadows. Puzzled, Rachel glanced down and saw the DoorDash bag sitting on the welcome mat, the steam rising from the container in the chill air. Confused but hungry, Rachel picked up the bag and brought it inside. She opened it with excitement, her mouth watering at the aroma that wafted out. But as she lifted the lid, her excitement turned to horror. Inside the container lay a jumbled mess of writhing, squirming insects. A chilling scream escaped her lips as she dropped the container, its contents spilling onto the floor. Trembling with revulsion, Rachel slammed the door shut, her heart racing as she tried to make sense of the nightmarish scene. She grabbed her phone, intending to contact DoorDash customer support, but as she opened the app, she was greeted by a message that sent shivers down her spine. It read, "Enjoy your meal, Rachel." A sense of dread settled over her, and she realized that something was horribly wrong. Just then, a scratching sound echoed from the other side of the door, a relentless, unnerving sound that seemed to come from the very fabric of reality. Rachel backed away, her eyes fixed on the door as the scratching grew louder and more insistent. With a sudden jolt, the door burst open, revealing a grotesque, shadowy figure. Its form was distorted, a twisted amalgamation of limbs and shadows that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Its hollow eyes fixed on Rachel, its mouth stretching impossibly wide into a nightmarish grin. Rachel's scream echoed through the corridor as she turned to flee, but the figure was upon her in an instant. Its cold, clammy hand closed around her wrist, its touch sending a shockwave of terror through her body. She struggled to break free, her pulse pounding in her ears, but the figure's grip was unrelenting. As darkness closed in around her, Rachel's world faded into a swirling abyss. In a quiet suburban neighborhood, a sense of dread began to loom as darkness fell. The Thompsons, a family of 3, found themselves at the mercy of a haunting presence that defied explanation. It all began one moonless night when young Emily Thompson woke up to the faint sound of music drifting through her bedroom window. As she peered into the inky blackness, her heart skipped a beat. There, beneath the dim glow of a flickering street lamp, she saw a figure. Tall and lithe, with a hat tilted just so, it looked uncannily like the king of pop himself, Michael Jackson. Every night, like clockwork, the ghostly figure returned. It glided across the yard, moonwalking in eerie silence, its movements an eerie mimicry of Jackson's iconic dance routines. Each time Emily's family rushed to investigate, the figure would vanish into thin air, leaving nothing but an unsettling chill in its wake. Despite their initial disbelief, the Thompsons soon realized they were dealing with something far beyond the realm of the living. They sought the help of paranormal experts and delved into the history of their home, unearthing a chilling tale from the past. Decades ago, a talented dancer named Marcus had lived in the very house. His dream had been to follow in Michael Jackson's footsteps, but his aspirations had been cut short by a tragic accident. Marcus's spirit, it seemed, was unable to rest, forever trapped in a haunting cycle of moonwalks and ghostly glides. As the nights passed, the haunting escalated. The Thompsons could feel Marcus's presence even when they couldn't see him. The music grew louder, the moonwalks more frenetic, and the atmosphere in the house grew heavy with unease. Sleep became a distant memory, replaced by fear and uncertainty. One fateful night, as the ghostly figure danced outside, Emily's mother, Sarah, gathered her courage. Armed with a photo of Marcus and a heartfelt plea, she stepped onto the porch and spoke softly into the night. "You're not alone," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "We know you're not Michael Jackson, but we see you, Marcus. We want to help you find peace." For a moment, the figure paused mid-dance, as if considering Sarah's words. Slowly, it turned its gaze towards her. The air grew still, and then, with a final moonwalk, Marcus faded away, leaving behind a bittersweet sense of closure. In the aftermath, the Thompsons felt a mixture of relief and sorrow. Though the ghostly presence had vanished, They couldn't help but wonder about the tragic fate of Marcus and the unfulfilled dreams that had bound his spirit to their home. The memory of those moonlit nights and the haunting figure that resembled Michael Jackson would forever linger in their minds, a reminder of the eerie and inexplicable.